Hello everyone, welcome back to Flippin' Ain't Easy, and thank you for joining the live stream today. And for those of you who are watching the replay, thank you for watching this channel. And what I want to do is I want to talk to you about just who I am briefly while we wait for some others to come in on the channel. I am a fellow reseller on eBay, YouTube, Mercari, and no, not YouTube yet, sorry, but Amazon. And I have been doing this for a good part of 13, 14 years, part-time mostly, but the last 2 years have been full-time because my 26-year career basically came to an end, and we had to find other means to earn a living. And this is sort of what we do, my wife and myself. And so that's kind of who I am. And this channel is intended for all of us to come together as resellers and help each other out and share our experiences. I share mine, but this type of live stream is for you all to come on here, ask questions, maybe share your experiences as well, because ultimately we're here to try to help each other out. And so I want to say hello to Zero and Sora. Brian Leda, he says, hello, John. First, I want to say thank you for all the help you give us. You know, I try. I got to tell you, if you haven't noticed, YouTube isn't the most natural thing for me and most people that haven't been in front of a camera. So I'm trying to improve and to make these live streams worth your while. And hopefully I have some information that can help you here. I have something I want to talk to you about that you guys need to check into regarding your managed payments account. It's something I stumbled on last night, and we'll get into that here in just a second. Someone's baking cookies, I think. You know what? I like to bake cookies too, but just so, not enough time in the day just to get everything I want to get done. Lisa says, appreciate your efforts. Thank you. I appreciate that. We have Joypad Lad, online game store. Hey yo, back. Nikki Huffman, I'm here too. And Zero and Sora has a question. What made you want to start YouTube? Well, as I mentioned, I worked at a call center for a very large company. I won't actually mention the name, but that call center, I started off as a rep, and I went to a customer service team. You have to pass a specialized test that shows that you're proficient in policy and that sort of thing. And I was able to do that, and for about 13 years in that department. And my job was to help people out. And my last 11 years in that company was in management, and I helped train. I traveled to train other employees. And that was sort of my function. And not having that anymore, it's a void that I'm used to being able to help people. And I think YouTube sort of helps me fill that void. That was the entire intent of this channel, was to kind of help newer eBayers and, of course, some seasoned eBayers that are trying to learn something every day. And hopefully this channel's able to do that. We have D-Stud in the house. Our approval process is selective for newly established reseller. Well, now I don't know what you mean by approval processes. Are you meaning, you might want to elaborate on that. I'll answer that once you kind of elaborate what you mean. Leith Bowden, I just got the dreaded email, sign up for managed payments. Yes, and you have to make sure that you get your information in, your checking account information, and your Social Security or EIN information, because if you don't adhere to their deadline, you won't be able to list new items. Gail Carlson, hello. How are FedEx shipping charges compared to USPS? I've been having problems with USPS on delivery, 2-day priority taking 5 days, customers wanting refund because of packages are too late. It's funny, Gail, I actually had your question lined up for a Q&A later on in the show. You actually commented that on one of my videos. And the main difference for me is FedEx is cheaper on your larger packages. Anything really over 3 pounds, that's larger than, I don't know, 10 by 10 by 10. And you'll notice that those larger packages, USPS charges you a lot more for. And that's sort of the benefit. Now, did anyone get that email from eBay saying that FedEx, or there's going to be an adjustment due to some shipping labels? They never mentioned FedEx in the message, but they, at least the one I have, they state that there's going to be some credits and debits, they state. So maybe if you weren't paying enough for a certain package, but they're going to go in and they're going to give you a credit here pretty soon. I hope that's the case, because honestly, that's been a big issue for a long time, where FedEx has been charging you more than what eBay quotes you for the same label, and sometimes 2 to 3 times the amount. So if you haven't seen that email, look for it. Let me know if you haven't received it. Let me know if you have. Maybe just a select few who've called in and reported this, like me. But it is very important. You guys need to check into this, because it's your money we're talking about. One quarter, I think, I think Q4, I found about $300 in overcharges that they had to go back in and give me a credit for. So just kind of make sure you're looking for that. Let's see. So Leith Bowden, how did you get to buy from the pallet liquor if you do not have a business license? Oh, so no, I cannot buy. I'm not sure, because every place I've gone to, whether it's direct liquidation, whether it was B stock, that type of thing. Now, I had things registered in California that I just have been slow to register in Nevada. I just haven't had the need to have that documentation. I don't go in and buy items that I need income or sales tax waived on. And so it's just nothing I've really thought about. But now that you mention it, I need to get in there and set something up as a reseller in Nevada, where I'm at. And I think that might have something to do with it. But when I changed addresses, they never asked me for anything new. So that's everywhere I've gone. When you deal with B stock, you actually have to go in to marketplaces, whether it's Costco, Amazon, Sam's Club, and you go in there and you have to register and be approved, and they're going to ask for that documentation. Now, I did all that a couple of years ago. I've been with them for a while. I just haven't ordered a lot from B stock until recently. Managed payments hasn't been that bad. I actually like it. The weekly payout for me feels like an extra check. I actually made more on 3 sales than I did my 8-hour job today while sleeping. That's the best part of reselling. You go to work 8 hours a day. Sometimes if you're part-time, only 5 hours a day, and that's all you can earn, unless they're offering you overtime. You're not getting any sort of residual income for your effort. So once you clock out for the day, you're not making anything else. And sometimes that's enough. For others, it's not. Well, with reselling, you might put in a same 8-hour day, but your items are being purchased every day. So that's 7 days a week, not just 5. And they're being purchased in the middle of the night. You're not doing anything. And I think it's kind of like you're cashing in your efforts for that 5-hour, 8-hour day you put into eBay or Amazon or whatever it is. You just don't get paid for it right away. It's paying you throughout the day and throughout the weekend. But it is a nice feeling nonetheless. D-Stud. B-Stock scores have separate applications to eligible for bid for auctions. I've gathered necessary documents to apply a new business. Maybe they've changed something. And, sometimes these companies, they change things and they grandfather people in. I can tell you this, that if you think that deadbeat bidders on eBay are a problem, I'm sure it's a problem for a lot of these auction companies or liquidation companies that deal with people who bid up an item or a lot and they just don't follow through. And I think maybe that has something to do with them requiring more information now than they did from me when I just started. Rated forever. When it comes to receiving money through managed payments, if eBay made it where I'm able to use my funds towards eBay purchases, then I'd still sell on eBay, and therefore no SIN number or bank is required. Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to be able to bank that and to be able to hit a button and say, I want my payout now versus, they say every day, which really sometimes isn't every day, or weekly. I can recall back in 2019, I had my PayPal account, I was pulling out as I needed, but I was trying to save as much money in that PayPal account as I could. And it was nice to get over that $10,000 mark. And sometimes I think it was up to like 15,000 before I said, okay, I need to move this. And I think at that time I was actually going over to manage payments on their beta program back in summer of 2019. So I had to get rid of PayPal anyway. I still have PayPal and use it for certain things. I did not know that you can use PayPal. This is just so amateurish on my side, because I should have known this. I just never have needed it, but I didn't know you can use PayPal to actually go in and use it for USPS, FedEx, I think FedEx or UPS labels. I didn't have any idea. And that's what was holding me back from using Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, because they have a limit when you deal with their labels. I think it's like 10 pounds, 12 by 12 by 12. And my idea of using Marketplace was using it for some larger items. And so I did some homework last night and found out what I should have known, which is that they offer labels. I just didn't know. Let's see here. So also for FedEx, I don't know if you've seen Crazy New York Driver video about FedEx Shipping Works. He was very detailed. Yeah, in fact, I'm good friends with Joe, and what I did was, I know he was talking about some of these FedEx charges when it first sort of rolled out to where there was a problem back in October. And when I really uncovered that there's an issue, I sent him an email and prompted him to make a video about this whole deal where, we're being charged 2 to 3 times what we were being quoted by eBay. And it's just frustrating. And I get it, I understand, but what I don't understand is if that's not the price, we're putting in the same dimensions. It's not like our scales are wrong or our rulers are wrong. We're putting in the correct dimensions and weights. So if they're using the same information that FedEx would use, what are they quoting us? I don't understand what that initial quote actually is. And hopefully, now I sent them a message on eBay for Business on Facebook Messenger, and they got back to me finally. The first guy tried to say, hey, check your dimensions, and that's not a problem because FedEx has never disputed my dimensions. They've always upped the weight on me. But the last person I dealt with at eBay for Business told me that it's something they know about, they're working on, and I think that email that I was telling you about is part of the solution. Hopefully, not only do they reimburse us, but they fix the problem. That's the main thing. I want to be able to trust that when I'm clicking on a label, that I don't have any surprises. FedEx is the one. I don't have any issues with UPS. I don't have any issues with USPS. So hopefully that we see a change here in the next, couple weeks, month or so. But you know how that is. Whenever eBay decides to make a change, it's kind of, they tell you about it, but it never really happens right away. I see. Maybe this is duh, but prior to listing my item, I already determined the shipping box size and cost to ship, and I keep it in my inventory shelf, all set to go. And right, so what we do is, when I'm making a listing on eBay, I take the dimensions of the item. It's not yet boxed or packaged, ready to be shipped, but I anticipate what that actually would be. So I add an extra inch or two, depending on what box I know I'm going to use, or if I'm using the polybag method, and I'll put that into the listing along with the weight. So something might be 1.5 pounds. I know the packaging is going to add another, 3-4 ounces to it. I'll add that weight in on that and put it in the listing. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to use that listing, that of the weight and dimensions that's in the listing when I sell the item. I'm still going to go in and weigh it and measure it again, because it's just, an estimate. I don't want to have any surprises. I don't want to have eBay come back and say, hey, we didn't charge you enough for this, like they have been with the FedEx labels. That's just, it's annoying, because the goal for me, and any reseller should be, we want to maximize our earnings and to reduce our expenses. And when we see inflated expenses on eBay's end, it gets annoying. Leith, B-Stock told me no licenses, no buying. I do not need one to sell online. And that's, wow. Well, just don't tell them about me. But I'm going to be getting mine taken care of here pretty soon. Lanny Steele, hi from Australia. Does ending an item and relisting it so it gets a new item number, does this change help the eBay algorithm or does it hamper my store? That's a good question. I actually read an article where they said to stop relisting items because you don't want the algorithm to go in and sort of recatalog a new listing. All those impressions, all those page views that you have earned from that listing are gone away when that happens. Any watchers that you have are gone that may be intending on buying your item and just kind of procrastinating for whatever reason. They're not buying it yet, and now they're not on your listing. And that's, I think we're dealing with items that are just not selling well. You might want to go in and do your homework. Maybe you're not selling the right item. Maybe you're not pricing it right. Maybe your title is not right. Take a look at your photos because your photos might not be up to par. As long as an item has sold previously on eBay, someone's out there looking for it. And I think sometimes you have to sort of mimic what some of the more successful people have. You have the same item that sold, go back and take their title. There's nothing wrong with that. Drop shippers do it all the time. Thankfully, I stopped using FedEx a while ago because it was too slow. I never had any problems with FedEx except for their billing and their dim waiting program. I've never had one customer tell me how slow things are. Now, USPS, I think all of us have dealt with that a couple months ago, and that's what slow is right there. Someone buys an item in December waiting to give it for a Christmas gift, and they still mid-January, end of January don't have it. That's no good. For Marketplace, be careful because I don't know if you've heard stories about high-priced items or electronics getting scammed out with basically non-existent support from Facebook. Now, maybe as a buyer, and I've seen some listings that look very suspect, like checking out Marketplace last night, they have people selling, they say, brand new Apple AirPods second generation for $30 plus like $10 shipping. Unless that's a knockoff, I don't see, how that's even possible. Because anybody who's bought from Costco will know that even on your customer return lots where they're selling like boxes, just like 12 by 12 by 12 boxes full of AirPods, maybe 50, 60 of them, and their MSRP is like maybe $10,000. People are bidding up to like $7,000 to $8,000, leaving themselves no room to make a profit. So how can you take those same AirPods and sell them for $30 on Marketplace? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let's see. Biscuit Butt. Does anyone else have packages from 2.9 and 2.10 still not delivered from USPS and no further scans? Unfortunately, all my packages are first class, so I'm screwed. I think I had one from Mercari, and it was an item that I noticed that even Mercari was sort of like sending me a message on, we have your item, we haven't paid you out because we don't have information on this package, and it's sort of in limbo. The customer hasn't reached out to me, so I'm just going to play the waiting game, and hopefully that item turns up. It's like a $15, $20 item anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, I want to keep your questions coming because it's definitely something I'm going to kind of come back to here in the live stream. But I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things. My wife and I were working outside in the garage. We were doing our photos and just kind of doing what we have been doing lately, and that's just kind of getting things ready and to list items and things like that. And I get a phone call, and I wasn't going to answer the phone, but I decided to. And it was some guy, and he said, "Hey, I'm out in front of your house." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I got a delivery." I'm like, "You have 2 pallets for me?" "Yes." And I'm like, "Wow, I just ordered this B-stock pallet like at the beginning of the week, and it was actually a lot. It was 2 pallets." And I had mentioned to them in a message to B-stock, I said, "Hey, the last one took 6 weeks. Can you kind of speed this one up?" And well, they did. They hired some random guy, his own little trucking company. He pulls up in front of my garage, and he gets out and he says, "Hey, my lift gate is broken." I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't lift this pallet. It's a large pallet, 2 pallets. And he's like, well, it's broken. We'll have to take the items off of the truck. So literally, he had to cut the Gaylord so that we can get to the boxes, and he had to hand these to me as you know, I'm have nowhere in my garage. I have boxes all over the place, as you may have seen in some of my previous videos, but I have empty boxes because we're going through stuff, and so now we're kind of rushing to make room, and we're pulling these large speakers and sound bars and all kinds of electronics off of this truck, and it was just a nightmare. And you know, I took photos of the whole process of the guy pulling the stuff out of the packages. I took photos of, he had like a chain wrapped around his lift gate, and so I took a photo of that. So then I went immediately emailed B-Stock, because they charge you, if you ever need a lift gate, they charge you $75 for that. And of course, if you're not going to provide that, and I had hoped to actually had unboxed these pallets in a 2-part series for you guys, and that kind of went out the window. So that was a bummer. So that's not going to happen. So now I have my garage just full of stuff over and above what I already have, and you know, so that's kind of an update for my B-Stock pallet. Unfortunately, this time we're not going to have an unboxing. It'll have to be the next time, provided that they don't use that guy again. It looked like it was his trucking company, like some random box truck that maybe they just hired for a couple hundred, charged me like $350 and pocketed the difference. I have no idea, but you know, he wasn't very helpful. He even made me keep the pieces of cut up Gaylord, the box, and I have to store that in my garage too. He couldn't have, there's no other deliveries he had in his truck but mine, so go figure. But last night, the thing I really wanted you guys to know, last night I went into my my Seller Hub, and you click on payments, and that'll show you your on-hold funds, your available funds, your processing funds. So I checked, you know, my on-hold funds just to see, and I expected to see only the pending returns that I have, but on the on-hold funds, I looked at the bottom, and I have $51 on a charge that was basically it was a return where the customer bought a telephone set and bought the wrong one and said, hey, look, just take $10 off of my refund. You know, I meant to buy the label and I hit the wrong, you know, like item not as described or whatever. And I was kind of irritated by that, but I said, okay, that's fair enough. And so it came back, I deducted the cost of the label, and of course it puts that charge in sort of a limbo state until the customer approves it. Well, it's still in my, $51 is still in my on hold funds. And so that's like June 8th of 2020. And I don't know what that's about, but I went on late last night before they closed, and about 15 minutes before eBay closed, and did the chat feature and was able to get a hold of somebody. Available funds, if you click on that, I have 3 items that I refunded early 2020 that are still in as a negative balance in my available funds. So maybe not everyone is messed up like me, but go in when you get a chance, check and make sure that your transactions are listed properly under on hold funds and available funds. I don't know what the impact is on your payouts, but I don't want that there. I don't want it to, you know, like for instance, if I have something on hold for $51 and let's say I make a sale for $60, they're only going to give me $9 because they think that money needs to be on hold. Whatever it is, they're holding $51 from me. They need to release that. It's been going on, what, 8-9 months, and that's just not good. And the other ones on the available funds, those transactions are, you know, we've got an $81 transaction, a $25, and a $20. You know, that's like $125, $130 that is just, you know, negative in my account. So check that. It's important that you do that because, you know, this is a relatively new system with managed payments, and everything that you have that's could be a problem, that could potentially create a problem or mess up your payouts, you need to have fixed. So check that out. Let me know in the comments if you have seen anything like this in your on-hold funds or available funds under the payments tab, and let me know if you see anything that doesn't look right. So back to some of the Q&A stuff. There have been a lot of delays because of weather recently. I had some items from 213, so that barely got delivered after 2 weeks. So right, if you have customers that were in Texas and were affected by that weather, you're definitely looking at possible delays on that. I started getting bad reviews for shipping when using FedEx on Mercari. So I don't really sell large items on Mercari. I just don't, I just haven't even bothered with it yet. So I'll keep that in mind. But knowing that you can get discounted labels with PayPal, and you don't have to have an associated eBay item number or anything like that, that's the way to go, I think, is to stop using the Mercari labels. And I think Mercari came out with a message that effective on the 1st of March, their rates are going to go up, their shipping rates. So check into that as well. Traveling Picker, hello, how you doing? Thanks for coming to the live stream and checking out the channel. Zero and Sora, biscuit butt. I do for Poshmark. It's 2 packages. What are we talking about? Okay. Any packages from 2.9 and 2.10 not delivered. Okay. Let's see here. Joypad Lad, I have the Starter Store subscription, but I have close to 1,000 items on my website. I would like to list more on eBay, but hate paying the listing fees on lower value items. Any better store options? I think that if you are over that threshold, I think for that particular store, the starter is 100. And I think while they give you a discount on the additional listings over 100, it's definitely, I think after you have like 200 or 300 items, it's definitely going to pay for itself over if you actually move on to the next one. I think the next one is it 1,000? Anybody know that? But anyone that's using a starter store and over 200 items, you definitely want to make sure you're moving to the next store. You'll save yourself some money. Did you attend the seller check-in event? Yes. The Celebration 2.0 event, that one, where they kind of glorify all the items like sneakers and watches that 90% of us don't sell or specialize in. I'm sure some of us, I've sold shoes and watches too, but it's, to dedicate all that time to just a few. And I guess it's a huge market for them, so that's why they're dedicating that the time and resources. But I would have liked to have heard, and I continue to want to hear, for the fees that we're paying eBay, what is eBay doing to improve our experience as sellers? And that's all the questions you saw were, hey, I have this problem, I have that problem, I have this problem. But it's almost like they're glossing over these things. They're pretending everything is fine, and they're telling us all about these sneakers and watches. And they even had the call center rep or the call center supervisor for the United States on, or the North American, whatever, general manager of the call center operations. Well, there's no problem with those call centers. It's the call center in the 2 call centers in the Philippines. Every once in a while, you get sent down to South America, to Colombia. That's kind of sketchy, I think. Some of their managed payments agents aren't on par with the U.S. agents. And the Ireland one, when you get sent over to Ireland, I have not had a problem with that either. So, you keep putting all the great, and I understand you want to be positive. You want to put your company in a positive light. But at the end of the day, you're shunning or pushing aside a lot of these sellers who are having real issues, whether it's managed payments, whether it's, Vero issues, or whatever it is, and you're kind of just acting like it doesn't exist when you're having these celebrations, and you're not even speaking to some of these questions like we do with the Q&A whole thing here on the live stream. They're not even going there. They're just kind of answering your question quietly, so only you get the answer, and the rest of the audience doesn't get to know. So I think they need to do a better job of addressing the real problems to everyone, so that everyone knows that they're seriously working on improving the selling experience. Let's see, Travis W. I got it going on right now. Does that mean you've got good sales going on? I can concur that over the last 3 weeks, sales have been really good for my stores, and we're just going to keep working that momentum. Looking at historical figures, sales usually start taking off right now, March, April, May, and then mid-June is usually when things start to slow down across the board on eBay sales. So for me, last year was just horrendous, and it didn't help any that I moved middle of July. So hopefully we can avoid a slowdown, but it's tough. A lot of people go on vacation, and I really thought that wouldn't happen last year because of the whole pandemic. People weren't going on vacation; they were staying home, but that still didn't happen. Brian Leda, John, how do you figure out cost of goods when you buy in bulk? I sell used parts, and it varies how much I sell on each item purchased. So here's kind of what I do in my spreadsheet. I'll take, let's say I have 100 items in my liquidation lot, and let's say I spent, just for simplicity, let's say I spent $1,000 on that 100 lot item. So I will take all the items and divide that by the number of the cost divided by the number of items. So 1,000 divided by 100 is a $10 cost per item. And I usually don't do that until I go through it. Any trash items that I'm not going to sell that have no value, I won't even count that in that number. And then I'll plug that number in for each item in my spreadsheet. And then that way that value carries over when the final calculations after it's sold, it'll tell me what I made on that item. I have it set up in my spreadsheet. I had a set of collectible magazines in one listing with over 20 watches for over a year. And someone asked what the lowest price I'll take. Then within 2 days, it gets sold full price. Yeah, it's weird how that works. I had something like that happen a couple times with a watcher. Where you send an offer to watcher, and it's like, wow, someone's watching this item. This has been on there for like the last year. And so you send them an offer, and 2 days later, it gets sold to someone else at full price. And I really think that if you use those features, I do it in the morning, I do it in the evening, and the offers to watchers. And I swear to you, it does create sales. It does something to your item and boost it in search. I guess what's happening is eBay says, hey, someone's interested in this item. Let's see if others would be as well. And when you send that offer to watcher, it just does something. I see. I use Acorn and combine photos into one. Example of clothing and several labels I combine. Same for multiple examples of flaws. More work, I think, might deter possible problems. So there's when I was doing the drop shipping thing for about 6 months back in like 2017 or whatever, there's a program that allowed you to make like a collage out of like 4 photos. And most drop shippers are using the same generic photo that they get off of Amazon, that the photo is imported. It's a stock photo that's imported over. So by the way, so this nonsense that you can't use stock photos on eBay is nonsense, because you have these drop shippers, that's all they have. They don't have the tangible item in their hand. So nip that in the bud with them, which is hurting regular everyday sellers on eBay. And maybe we'll have that conversation where those stock photos can't be used. But the collage idea of using those photos, like having 4 photos in one, it does separate your item from the rest of the items. Let's say you have 5 shirts that are the same. That's going to catch someone's eye. So if you have a way of doing that, and it's not taking you incredibly extra amount of time away from what you have to do, then by all means, it's a good idea. But we're trying to create efficiency, especially if you have a lot of items that you need to list. And if it's taking you an extra 5 to 10 minutes per listing, it may not be worth it unless you really see a high sell-through rate with those listings. Lanny Steele, I think sellers who have a store subscription should have access to the online chat support 24/7. I agree, and I'll take it even further. The whole concierge phone number direct line was given to people who went to the 2019 eBay Live here in Vegas. And at the time, I'm like, I don't really want to go to this bunch of seminars and this, that, and other thing. And I passed. I didn't want to pay the, $400 or $500, whatever it was. And I kind of wish I did, because it's a lot easier to get a dedicated rep on the phone and not have to jump through hoops and hope you get a U.S. call center versus one in the Philippines. And but yeah, they should be giving a dedicated concierge phone number to somebody who has a store, I think. Travis W. Sorry, no, the hold negative balance crap. Oh, okay, so you don't have that, I take it, on your, and everyone should be checking their on hold funds and available funds just to make sure that the listed transactions that are in there are recent and not holdovers from last year. I found that, and maybe it's just me. Maybe my account is that screwed up, because not only that, I have some weird things on my account. I have a 2 billion item listing limit. So I was thinking about calling and asking for another 2 billion, but it may take my entire lifetime to list, a million, let alone 2 billion. So I don't know. If you let me know what your item limits for your store are down below. I'd like to know, because 2 billion is just insane to me. I don't know who would approve 2 billion. Maybe that's the max. I have no idea why I was given that many listings, but it's definitely pretty comical to me. And what's even funnier is they only gave me a $500,000 limit. So if you divide $500,000 per listing based on 2 billion, it's like 2 cents an item. So I'm not selling online cookbooks or anything like that. So I don't know who would sell an item for 2 cents. Let's see, Joypad Lad. That's funny because my sales slowed right before Valentine's Day, but I was killing it since right around Christmas. And it's funny, that usually happens. So your Christmas sales will take a sort of they'll plummet for about a week, because from like the 22nd on to around the 28th, 29th of December. And then right after that, they take off again. But for me, they didn't really do that. I was having some slow days for the first 3 weeks of January, but I gotta admit, the items I had on there weren't the greatest. I did some sourcing beginning of January, and that really helped me take off. So you can only make so much on your stale items, and here I am. I have a death pile out in my garage. We're slowly but surely getting rid of it. But if all your new listings are just the slower moving items, it's going to definitely take a hit on your account, and that's kind of what happened to me. Do you believe Facebook will overtake eBay sometime soon? Assuming Facebook does the same things on eBay and adds things that fixes all the problems that eBay's platform has. I haven't had really enough experience. I've had one transaction on Facebook Marketplace, and I put together just a generic lot of stuff I didn't want to bother with. They were all in the same similar category. I think it was pet supplies, and I think I listed it for like $40 plus like $10 shipping, and it sold within like 2 hours. And I have a bunch of other lots I'm creating for that, but I really don't have the answer to that question. It really depends on how they decide to do it. If they become like eBay and they start adding fees and getting fee happy like eBay does, then probably not. If they stay the same course, I definitely see them taking the same, or taking the over eBay after a few years. But you got to get rid of the scammers, because you have to build trust on a platform. And if it's full of scammers and it gets a reputation sort of like Craigslist got, back in the day, where it was a haven for just scammers, then it's gonna only do as well as Craigslist did. I don't think it's gonna go take off unless they really have real protections on there. Chandra, why did eBay add a day hold to payouts? I always got my payouts a day after they sold. Now it takes like 2 or 3 days. Well, what they try to tell you is that it's the customer's bank. But what I don't buy is, if someone's using their actual PayPal balance, that should be instantaneous. So the very next day you should get paid for that. So, and then they try to tell you that in their policy they don't make any money off of interest on the money that's sort of in limbo. And maybe that's their story. I'm not quite sure about that, but it doesn't make sense unless they found that the number of accounts they're dealing with on managed payments need that extra handling time. I don't know. It's a good question. One I wish eBay would answer. All I can do is sort of give you a guess as to why that would be. Joypad Lad, that spreadsheet setup is exactly how I started, but since I have a Shopify store now, I started keeping that all on my website backend instead. I think it's a good idea to do both if you have the time. Even maybe hire a VA to go in and, at $2 an hour. I mean, I know it sounds cheap, but that's good living for some people, like in the Philippines and Pakistan and all those other countries. And, have them go onto your account and check out your solds and, document all those listings into a spreadsheet. I think that would help you out. Flipping is B stock. Pallets still very profitable since you have to pay shipping. Well, you have to calculate the actual amount of shipping. I think this last one with the 2 pallets was about $400, and it was $2,600 plus the $400, about $3,000. It brought my cost of goods to about $25 an item. We're talking the average MSRP was about $160, and did some homework, and I definitely think it's a profitable pallet. I'm not going to make as much as the first one, and not realizing that I bought a bunch of large speakers in this particular the one that just arrived yesterday. I'm kind of kicking myself because of that. I don't like dealing with larger items, and my wife let me know about that as the guy's unloading the truck, and it was definitely one of those regret purchases. I'm going to make my money back, but definitely you have to figure that in. If you use that 40 by 40 formula, take the entire cost, that's the lot plus shipping, and multiply that by 0.4. You want to make that number, and then you take that number and multiply that again by 0.4. You want to be into that lot for no more than that. Now, if you really like the lot, there's a lot of good items in there. Definitely, up that a little bit. Instead of using that last 0.4, use 0.5, and that'll give you a little bit more to work with. If you go higher than that, you're really running into a lot of problems. With liquidation, you have the potential for some of these items to come back just not even sellable. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're just trying to sell an item or all the items you get just to make your money back. That's the equivalent of you just taking an unpaid vacation. But in this case, you're actually working to try to break even. That's no good. Nobody wants that. Gail Carson, what determines when the makes offers to watchers appear? I believe eBay does that by default in your summary tab. Anytime you get a watcher on your item, it'll say listings eligible to send offers. And like right now, I have 10. And every time you get someone that comes in on a unique listing, you might have 10 watchers on one listing, but that's only going to show up at one time on this list. So I have 10 unique listings that have at least one person that's shown interest. Now, it could be someone that's piggybacking off of my listing, maybe watching my item, that's planning on selling the item. I've never understood that, but most of the time these are legitimate watchers, and I don't know if there's any function that can turn that on or off. And honestly, I wouldn't want to turn it off. It's helped me. It's helped me boost my listings and rank. If you are not seeing that in your summary, you may want to reach out to eBay, or if anyone here knows how to turn it on or off, I'd appreciate that. And Gail would appreciate that, because we want to know, we want to have the flexibility to do what we want and run our store the way we want. And just to know, like for instance, I had an issue with eBay the other day, and I called them. There's another problem with my account that I mentioned on one of my previous videos, that whole deal where the easy pricing. And like for instance, if I have just a dog item, an item that's just sitting in my store now for 5 or 6 months, I would like to be able to have the option to turn on easy pricing. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the option that you can turn on that allows eBay to bring down your price automatically. It's like a repricer. It brings it down by like 5% after like 10 days. And like every 10 days, it keeps bringing down the price until it hits an amount that you set. So like on a $20 item, maybe I'll set $10 as my limit. I don't want to go any lower than that because I won't make any money. But eBay will lower every 10 days 5% of that item until someone buys it. I think that's awesome when you're dealing with items like that. And I want to be able to use it for some of those slower moving items. But on my other account, I think my main account is stuck between a business and a personal account, and that option is not available to someone with a business account, or someone in limbo like myself. So I'm still waiting to hear back. My account is so messed up. I'm telling you, last summer it was so messed up, they had to go in and do a different kind of reset, the one that they don't talk about at eBay, where they go in and just totally refresh and recategorize everything in your store, because I didn't have a single page, view, or impression for 2 days on any of my items in my store. Like, all the items were not showing up for anyone to buy. And I think that was one of the things that was wrong with my store, but I'm starting to find little things here and there that are wrong with my store. And they all have something to do with managed payments. I think it has something to do with managed payments. And I'm hoping for your all's sake that it's just me, but you know what? Still check these things. Make sure you're able to get to the easy pricing option. Maybe you don't want to use it, but make sure it's available to you. And also, like I said earlier in this live stream, make sure you do not have anything sitting in your on hold category, your on hold tab, or your processing tab. Well, not processing, but available funds tab. Make sure there's nothing there other than recent stuff. Anything that's from 2020, eBay needs to know about, and they need to take it out, because I think there's a negative effect there. Leith Bowden, Amazon holds back 2 weeks of sales, and if you haven't sold in a while, it's actually sometimes like 3. I had a couple weeks ago about a $500 or $600 balance, and they only paid me like $250, and the remaining balance is still sitting there waiting for the next 2-week payout. So it's sometimes longer than that. Joypad Lad, well, it helped me too that I bought my cousin's huge game and toy collection in January. Yeah, toys are big. And sourcing is what does it. It's the name of the game. And I've said this numerous times. If you do not source properly, if you buy, this is kind of going into the question from Biscuit Butt. If you do not make sure your cost of goods as compared to what you can resell them for are in line, you're not going to make any money in this game. It's going to be frustrating. You know, you have a $50 item that you can only sell on eBay for 20, and you're into it for 10, you know, and you still have to ship it and pay eBay fees. How are you going to make money on that? So you really have to calculate these things. And when you source and you look for items that are going to sell and make you that profit, you're going to notice a huge spike in your graph. And that's what I've noticed over the last 3 weeks, just from the speed stock sourcing. I continue to do my Amazon sourcing. I continue to find, there's nothing better than when I'm plugging stuff in my spreadsheet. I sold a $700 Galaxy Tab 7 Plus, and it was just an open box like new. It was perfect condition, and I can write down a $2.35 cost of goods on that item, because that's what it was for that pallet. It was a $15,000 MSRP lot, and only cost me $1,500. And after it was all said and done, the number of items in that pallet, it was $2.35 per item after I went through all the items, which is outstanding. And so, and it's on the flip side, it's horrible when you have a $50 item that you have a $30 cost of goods and shipping and fees on top of that. You don't have enough room. You have to have a lot of stuff, a lot of replenishables to move, and that are hot items to actually even make that work. That's, like I said earlier, I don't understand why these people can go on and buy Apple products on B-Stock for almost the MSRP. You wonder, how are they making any money? Joypad Lad, the problem with Facebook is they have removed and banned a ton of my items in the past and do nothing about it. Games with dogs, cars, guns are flagged for some reason if they're not games. Yeah, I guess. I've never heard the one with dogs and cars, but I can understand the whole gun thing, because I guess they don't want kids to learn how to use guns. But I mean, come on. So whatever your take is on guns, that's for another channel. But they're safeguarding children, and I'm all for that. I'm all for protecting kids if we have to. Does anyone know my store monthly fee is taken out every month? Well, it's invoiced to you. So it's at the end of your month. You'll have an invoice for all your FedEx labels, UPS labels, and your store fee. But at some point here in the next month or two, that's going to disappear. They're going to, I don't think they're going to, take it out over the month. I think they're going to just slap you with it one day. It's going to come out of your available funds, and you might be expecting your $100 sale, and it's only going to be like 30 or 40 because they took out your store fee. Andrew Merritt, how you doing, Andrew? All of us sellers need to email or call eBay about the buy it, try it crap. As sellers, we're not a rental company. The only thing about that is this. There's a couple things. One is they buy it, it works perfectly, they use the heck out of it for the next 3 weeks, and they break something on it, or something doesn't function properly, and now they want to say that you sold them an item that's not functioning or not as described or whatever, and they get around paying the return label. You get their used junk now because it was perfectly fine, but you know, people use things. I've received lots of stuff in liquidation that it's like they had this item for 2 weeks before they returned it, and there's no way, either this is a swap out or they use the heck out of this thing. And I don't want that kind of item being sent back to me, and I'm sure you don't. And it's just frustrating when we as sellers have to deal with, we're more like dealing with a warranty at that point. And you know, and I've had people, I think 3 or 4 over the last 6 months, contact me after the 30-day return period asking me for, you know, there's something wrong with the item, wanting me to take the return. And it's like, no, that's not happening. You need to contact the company. They have usually a 1-year warranty on these things, and you need to talk to them about it. Some companies stand behind their product. No money made on the float. Huge joke. Yes, you're right. Zira and Sora. Hopefully one of your pallets comes with an Anchor Powerhouse. I'll be your first customer on it. What's an Anchor Powerhouse? I know that Anchor makes lots of different things. Is that a Bluetooth speaker? I ended up getting a lot of the Ion speakers, those big Ion speakers. Those things are really nice. I have one in my garage. If you work in your garage, there's nothing better than having a good Bluetooth speaker. So you kind of rock out while you work. It makes the day go by a lot faster. Joypad Lad, I do have a spreadsheet for all of my transactions still. Just don't keep the values and listings tracked anymore like I used to. And it's time consuming. You know, I developed a process. I wasn't good with this last year, but I began doing it daily in January. And then unfortunately in February, daily turned into weekly. And I could see this kind of getting out of hand. So I need to get back to daily. It's something you need to do every day, whether it's you doing it or it's having your VA do it or having a VA do it. It's worth to know what you're making. You know, eBay doesn't tell you what you're making per item. You know, you kind of have to go in and use things like spreadsheets to be able to calculate what your margin is. And the reason why that's important is because if I'm buying a bunch of this item and I don't know that, you know, my eBay fees, because remember, eBay charges you eBay fees on the item and on the shipping. So if I have a huge item that maybe I'm selling for $80 plus $60 shipping, that's $140 that eBay is charging me eBay fees on. And that's like, what? That's like $20. And then, you know, your shipping and your cost of goods. And by the time you know it, those items you bought, you thought were money makers, they're not. And your spreadsheet's going to tell you that. And you would not have thought of that without seeing. Sometimes we need to see the actual numbers. And sometimes I'll look at the numbers and go, wow, that's not right. And I'll go back in and I'm like, well, it is right. So I'll know not to source that item anymore. It's a valuable tool so that you can learn as you go. I see. Any advice for efficiency with small space? Bedroom as shipping supplies, closet is closed, back porch, household photos taken in basement. Been accused of taking over the whole house. Well, thankfully my wife's on board with this whole eBay thing. We both do it. But yeah, you tend to, if you're doing this in your house, it tends to sort of take over. I mean, you see behind me, I have a table, a makeshift shift table set up for our testing. So these are all items we've tested. We're kind of making sure that all the packaging is right. We're getting them put together. These are all listed already, but we just have to get them in the proper location. My garage, any of you watch my videos told me before, my garage is a hot mess. You know, I try to keep it real on this channel. I'm not trying to make you think I am somebody I'm not. I'm not going to drive up in a Lamborghini and tell you how great eBay is and how it's made me a rich person. Yet I'm asking you to, you know, give me a what do they call it, a super chat, help support the channel. I've never once asked anyone to do that, and it's not about that for me. If you guys want to, certainly I'll be happy to put that towards the channel and make the experience better for everyone. But that's not what this is about. And so you see that my garage is a hot mess. It's just my work environment, and anyone with a really clean work environment probably either has a really good operation and people helping them, and really good, easy merchandise to list that doesn't create messes. But they're probably not selling the same kind of stuff I am. And that is, you have electronics, you have household goods, just a lot of different things. And that takes up your space. So as far as advice for that, organization will help you in that you might go out to, say, Home Depot and buy those big tubs with the lids, the stackable ones. The ones with wheels are good too. And the stuff that is, let's say, quote unquote, your death pile, things you're not going to get to right away, put those in those stackable containers. Maybe with the idea you are going to get to them, maybe work. You don't want to keep those. We're not here to store things. So that's, the temptation is to let them sit out in those tubs and buy new stuff, and someday those will go away. They're not going to go away. They're going to keep taking up space in your garage or your house. So you do that for organization. You keep those tubs there. Maybe once every week you work on a new tub above and beyond what you just bought to resell. I think we need to get out of the mindset of holding on to stuff. Maybe a lot of times we source thinking, oh, this is a great deal, but I still got a pile of stuff in my garage that I haven't gotten to. I think we have to get out of that hoarder's mindset and focus more on the stuff that we bought. And if we bought stuff that doesn't have resale value, we probably made a bad purchase and need to do something like like Facebook Marketplace lots. I think a lot of your solution comes with how you're going to get rid of a lot of those items. And as far as I have a thing back here. It's a mess right now. I have stuff on the floor that I've been testing, but holds all my poly bags. And I have that sorted out. I have about 8 different size poly bags. Your shelving is important. I bought just a makeshift, it's like a dresser kind of deal. It puts all my supplies in there. You can go on Amazon and buy these things for like 30 or 40 bucks shipped. They're real easy. They're nice to look at. They're not an eyesore in your house. And I think, by just doing the small things, it all adds up, and you're gonna not feel as congested in your own home. So hopefully that helps. Gail Carson, I had it, but I've not seen it for 2 weeks. Had what? Okay, I'll let you elaborate if you're still watching. Let's go on to the next one. Joypad Lad, double secret reset. That's a reset that people used to call and say, hey, can you reset my store? And most reps would say, sure, no problem. And they do something. And then it got to the point where people were calling all the time. And so they started telling people, well, that doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. Most reps won't even admit they know about it when you talk to them. I'm talking about USA reps. I don't even know if they train the Philippine reps to even know what that is. But it's not the same. I can promise you it's not the same as going in and altering your title or altering your something for every item in your store. And then, with that quick edit option that we can go in and refresh, the one that Crazy New York Driver was talking to you about, it is not the same refresh, I promise you, because I was doing that and it still didn't make a bit of difference. I got 0 page views and 0 impressions when I was normally in the 40, 50,000 range for impressions. So it's definitely an option that you can use when there's a problem, but the one that you go in and just edit your item is something you probably should be doing whenever you notice an issue with your maybe your impressions are down. And don't look so much at sales. Don't look at that number, because eBay can't control who buys your item. They can only control where your item shows up in search and your impressions. So you should be looking at your traffic. So that's if you're looking at your performance, you go to traffic, and that'll give you an idea of your impressions. That is an important metric to know. That teal line and that blue line are also important on your charts because it tells you where your traffic's coming from. The sales are just a symptom of having good impressions and good page views. And having good impressions and page views are a symptom of having good titles, good photos, good product. So those are some of the things you have to think about. Can you tell us the timeline of your YouTube channel, when you started, when you got monetized, best practices to get more subs? Thanks. Well, I made it a point last year, 2020, January 1, before I knew how crazy 2020, actually in 2020, before I found out how crazy 2020 was going to be, to finally do this YouTube channel I've been talking about. Actually, I was talking about doing a Flippin' Ain't Easy YouTube channel when I still had worked at that other my career job, and it was a joke at the time, but it became a reality. And 2020 started doing videos. It's funny because I got a few subs here, a few subs there, and I was thinking, well, it's probably my family and friends just trying to be nice and saying, hey, they're going to support me. And I recall, like, mid-summer last year, contacting Crazy New York Driver, and said, hey, I've been watching your show for like the last couple of years. If you ever give a shout out for a channel, here's what my channel is. Check out the videos and consider giving me a shout out. And he did, and that helped me a lot. And thankful to him, and it's invaluable. But one things that you can do, I think it took me like September of last year before I reached 1,000 subscribers, and at that point you become monetized. And you're not making a whole lot on YouTube even once you're monetized. You have to really have those viral videos, and that's kind of what it's about. If you're looking to make money on YouTube, it's never been that for me. I get enough back from YouTube every month to sort of do some kind of cool things I want to do with the channel. Got a nice little mic here. Have some new lighting and new lighting for my other aspects of the show, and you saw the intros that we paid for, and because I'm not smart enough to do intros on my own, I'd probably make something even worse. You saw the stuff that I had before. That's what I created, which wasn't very good. But just doing little things like that with the channel. I have some people I've hired right now to kind of do some things with, maybe looking for the banner, to change the banner on the channel, and this, that, and other thing. Those will all help you, in my mind, gain legitimacy. And I know a lot of you are like, you don't need to do anything to your channel because we're here for the information. And you're right. But there's a lot of people that will look at your channel and, for instance, you meet someone for the first time, you judge them based on what you see. Before they even get the first few words out of their mouth, you've already started to judge that person as to what you think of them. And first impressions are hard to shake. That person's going to have to do something. They might show up sloppy one day when you first meet them, but they're really not like that. And it's going to take a couple times seeing them not sloppy to think that this person is, not like that. And the whole idea with me making these improvements to the channel is because I want to attract other eBay sellers. I like to think we have about 5% of eBay sellers who are actually looking for good content. Thankfully, we have the best 5% out here. The best 5% is already watching these videos, but it's the other 95% that I want to be able to attract to the channel. The whole idea is the more people I can help, the happier I am. And it's not about being recognized when you go out and about. I'm glad that doesn't happen to me. I hear a lot of YouTubers, they're noticed when they're going out in the bins or the thrift store. I don't have that problem because I don't source that way. But I'm also glad that doesn't happen. I don't want that, but it's inevitable. But that's not what it's about. It's about how many people can I help with one effort. It's sort of like how many items can I sell with one listing, and it's that same kind of mindset. So the better the channel looks, I think that also helps you if you're planning on trying to grow an eBay channel. And it's never too late. And the worst thing you can do on eBay, on YouTube, is not starting. If you continually think, hey, I want to make this channel, but you just think that it's not going to be good. Your first 20, 30 videos, go look at mine. They're going to suck. And you have to just realize that, get your feet wet, and don't let that hold you back. Street Pricer is a reprice for eBay. So how much do they charge for that? So if I can get somebody to do it for $2 an hour and also handle other aspects of my store, you know, maybe, and that would be using like a perfect, what do they call it? List Perfectly. That's one of the programs that we use for cross-listing. And I don't know of a way to let someone outside of the US, like a VA that would charge only $2 an hour to access your account remotely. I tried to with this last VA, or the VA that I'm dealing with. They cannot access my account for listing without a third-party lister where this person is. I fill in every possible item specifics possible, and of course, if you're in a hurry to list, just put NA, and when you find time, you can then edit and put the correct item specifics right. So one thing I've noticed that works really well, at first I was trying the app, and I hated the app because the photos were just trash, if I'm being honest. Their background removal tool was horrible, and I don't want a background removal tool that's going to impede my progress, where I have to go in and you know, open up the photo and highlight what I want and what I don't want. So Photo Room, if you've never used that, definitely go check it out. I think they have a free one. I have the paid one because I can tell you I can have 100. I have 100 items that I've taken a photo on. It's like 400 or 500 photos, and I can run that through, and within like 10 minutes, all of my items. They even crop the photos. All of my items have a clear background, and they're ready to go. And then I jump right back on the eBay app, and I make my listing. So it's now doable. The eBay app is something that will speed you up. You can piggyback off existing listings and whatever item specifics they have in the listing. And then once, like at the end of your day, you're kind of relaxing, checking out your work on your computer, go in there and just add your item specifics. Your items are still being seen. See, that's the thing. The more items you can get up, the more sales you're going to have. You cannot sell an item in your garage that's not up for sale. And so the more efficient you can be to get these items up without messing around with these item specifics, the more success you're going to have. And then later on, edit those item specifics. The number one pet peeve I have about eBay, and I wish they'd fix this, is this whole idea of custom bundle, and you tell them no. And then they have a reminder asking you, well, can you describe this custom bundle? Well, I told you no. Why is it asking me or requiring me to update that custom bundle with an NA if I already told you there is no bundle? Go figure. Brian Leda, what spreadsheet are you using? Is it available? Well, I have one that I've created. Actually, it's funny. It's a spreadsheet that I worked on with macros. I don't know if you would know what macros are, but it's sort of like a command. So if I type a certain entry in this, like the word yes, for instance, if I type in the word yes in on this line, like for the column says, is it listed? I type in yes. It automatically takes the entire contents of that line and puts it over into a different part of the worksheet where, okay, that if I put listed, it moves it to the listed part. So I have an inventory tab where I have anything that I source, I put there, and the condition, the cost, and all that stuff. And then once I've listed it, I hit yes, it moves it to listed. And once I've sold it, there's another column for sold. I hit yes, it moves it to sold. And all the while, I'm plugging in all the values based on the sale and the shipping cost and all that. And it's, I don't know, it's something I haven't made available. I think I had asked the audience if they wanted to see something like that. If enough people want it, I could try to go in and make something for you guys. It's very basic, and it's going to require you to go in and put your inventory in. And it's not QuickBooks, it's not GoDaddy, but it's definitely something that if you have kind of an idea how to use Excel, it's going to save you a lot of time. Charles, flea market is my favorite venue to sell at. eBay is for the choice higher end items. And you know, there's a lot of people who will buy these lots, like on Marketplace, these things that I don't want to bother with, these $5 to $10 items. that I'll lot up and sell in the marketplace. At least that's the plan. I have a bunch of lots already set up, and the one lot I already sold. But I hear that there's a lot of people who go into marketplace, buy up these lots, and take them to flea markets and stuff. And once this whole pandemic thing sort of works itself out, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. The problem is that Facebook flags games as if they're actual products, meaning that they're telling me I'm selling dogs, guns. When I report it's a game, they still deny me. Okay, so it's one of those things where, going back to that conversation we had earlier in the stream of various toys that are being flagged. You know, it's funny. I had a lot. It was a lot of mixed, like pet goods and health and beauty stuff. And they went in and denied it. They flagged it. They wouldn't allow me to list it. And they said that I was selling like drugs and stuff like that. So I didn't have anything like that. So it's definitely an automated process. I don't know what causes their algorithm or whatever to be triggered. Maybe it's something you put in your title. But yeah, I've seen that myself. George Crowley, what's a realistic target to aim for in terms of profit for a starter like me? I have about 1,000 behind me and time on my hands. Well, you can, as far as aiming for profit, you can start right away. It all starts with your sourcing. If, you know, the number one thing to do is to make sure you have some feedback on your eBay account, and you can go in and buy recipes for $1 a recipe, and you know, 10 different sellers, spend $10, you have 10 feedback. That at least gives someone some type of confidence that you've actually had some activity on eBay, and that will help when you're making your sales. But it's all about sourcing. So if you find something that you can pick up at a yard sale for $5 that you're checking your comps, and comps are when you go in to see what an item sold for on eBay, for instance. If you're checking your comps and you see that same item consistently sells between, you know, 60 and $100, you should be buying that all day, as long as it works or it's in good condition, because that's where your profit comes from, is how you source. So, you know, I would say start with the things in your home that are free, that have some value on eBay, just so you can see if eBay is something you want to even do without spending any of that money. And if it's something that you feel like you can do after you maybe sell about 10 items, then go in and go to, you know, liquidation.com, go to some other sites, Blue Lots or whatever, go into your local thrift store, go to yard sales, and see if you can make this thing work. It's just, that's the number one thing. I think a lot of people lose sight. They start talking about their titles, their photos, which are all important. But if you don't have something good to sell and to display in those listings, that's half the battle, and you're losing it if you're not sourcing properly. Leith Bowden, Amazon FBA helps out so much on space, especially books. So FBA is fulfillment by Amazon, meaning that you go in and you, instead of telling Amazon you're going to ship the item, you just go in and tell them what items you're going to ship to their warehouse, and they'll give you some labels that you print out, you slap on the item, you pack it up in a box, they'll sell you a discounted shipping label, you ship it to their one or more of their centers, their distribution centers, and Amazon does the rest. They provide the customer service, they provide the shipping, and you just kind of have to maintain how you want it priced. You get to choose the price, and you know, if it's not selling, how long you want to keep it in storage, because they charge you a storage fee. So yeah, so space, if you're tied up for space, definitely you want to look into Amazon FBA. There is a premium on that as far as the price. It does cost a little bit more to sell that way as compared to doing it Amazon FBM or doing it like eBay. You're going to make a little bit more money on each item, but you have less resources you have to deal with you know, shipping and customer service and things like that. Okay, the powerhouse is like a generator, all electric, of course, and mostly used for camping, outdoor emergency. Oh, I see. So the ones that I have like a plug, and they have even a place where you can put your phone, is that wireless QI charging, but nothing like that. But I'll keep an eye out for you. If I do come across one, I'll definitely let you know. Bill Archibald, how you doing, Bill? Just a shout out from Scotland. Great channel with good advice that helps me no end. Cheers. Cheers to you as well, and thank you for tuning in from the other side of the pond. I appreciate it. Leith Bowden, I do buy for future seasons, not just for now, but I'm blessed with lots of free storage. And so storage is awesome. Another way to do it is if you have a lot of stuff that you've sourced, maybe that $35, $40 small little storage unit is something that I do know that people take advantage of, things like that. If you're making enough money to be able to afford that additional cost every month so that it's out of your way and out of your hair, maybe that's definitely, if you have a way to kind of transport it back and forth to wherever you work from, it's definitely something to consider. Chris from Daily Refinement, if you ever watch his channel, he actually works out of his storage unit. I guess he was able to negotiate something where there's power to his storage unit, and he just makes his operation out of there, so he doesn't have to take it home. That's another option. Andrew Merritt, when do you give up on selling? Length of time and item and take it down. Well, I give up on selling an item when it just, well, here's what I do. I look to see if the item's sold before. If it's never sold before, I probably don't even bother with it. Okay, so if it's sold before, I know it's going to sell at some point. It just boils down to is your photo good? Is your title good? And most importantly, people want the price. Is the price good? If you're trying to get the high end of solds, you're probably not going to be selling that item. So really, there's no giving up. You just keep bringing your price down. And if that means you take a small loss just to get rid of it and you know not to source it again, then that's what it means. You just got to do that. But as far as how long, you know, I have a little note to myself every day. I'm going to start taking some of these older listings, and it's a tip that someone I came across on YouTube, and it's actually pretty good. You go and do a bulk edit for all your $25 items, and maybe edit the ones, only the ones that have been sitting there for a while, and you drop it by 2%. There's a way you can actually go in and do that. And let's say, you know, every day you drop it, and you have your, like let's say $10 is your bottom. So you're not going any lower than that. And you can go in and do that edit. Maybe I'll make a video on it, even though that other guy did. But I'll make a video on this process. But you're constantly bringing down all your items in your store that are under 25 bucks by 0.2%, not 2%, by 0.2%. You do that every day. And then listings over 25 bucks, you go in and say, okay, my baseline is this number, say 25 bucks, but I'm going to bring this price down by 0.5% every day until it sells. And just being creative, putting sales, you know, like the markdown manager and making sales, offers to watchers, things like that are going to help you move your item. As long as you have done everything you can, that shouldn't be a worry. It'll sell eventually. I've had items that have lasted in my store for months, but you know, you got to be really aggressive when that happens and get your prices down. Gail, about to offer watchers, no biggie. I want to know who keeps giving you a thumbs down. I don't know. I don't know who's giving me a thumbs down. I have this theory. If any of you have watched the Crazy New York Driver show, Joe, well, he has this stalker that I know gives him a thumbs down every time he has a show. And I have this feeling that he's also going and doing that to some of the people that Joe has supported. And, you know, it is what it is. Or maybe that person just doesn't like my content and, you know, hey, all good to you too. This show is not for everyone. You know, maybe a little bland for some. But like I said, I'm not trying to be, you know, to pull up in my Ferrari and show you all the great things and have big pictures of all the packages that I shipped and try to make myself out to be something that I'm not, or seem bigger than life, because that's definitely not the case. I've always said that I'm just like you guys. I'm an eBay seller trying to make a living. YouTube is something I just enjoy doing, and I don't mind taking the time to do it. And if someone dislikes that, then hey, you know, sorry, can't please everyone. That's one thing you got to learn. If someone doesn't like you, just got to move on. I got what you want. Okay, anyone have issues with eBay? A couple things. Buyer today said they couldn't buy my items because it says I'm on vacation. I'm not and never had been. I'm just having problem after problem, call eBay, or actually request a callback, ebay.com/sellerhelp. Navigate to your problem, click on Contact Us, and you'll go through a couple more screens and request a callback. You get that person on the phone. I don't care where they're from. You need to ask for a supervisor, because they're not going to be able to help you, especially if they're from the Philippines. You're going to need to talk to somebody who can fix this for you, because if there's settings on there that you haven't messed with and it's coming on from eBay side, you definitely want to get someone to help you fix that. And I found that I get more things accomplished by dealing with someone above the initial agent. And it may sound, I just know how it works in the call center environment. And that's what works for me. And it's what has worked for many customers I dealt with throughout my life. They've escalated the call to someone who has the power to do something, and they get it done. I see why a while ago eBay took an item down because I did not have message me through eBay messages rather than my usual email me with any questions. I corrected it on my listings. And yeah, they don't want you providing any kind of contact details at all in your listings. No email. They don't even want you giving that to the customer when you're talking to them on the messages. So you have to be careful about that. Where do you correct that? I don't know what that is. You'll have to put that, what that is, down below. Bill, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Well, right. Sometimes you do, if you're dealing with someone that's forgiving and patient and maybe can be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they met you for the first time. But I'm guaranteeing you that even that person has that first impression in the back of their mind before they change their impression of you. But yeah, that's the first impression, and it's definitely important. What is a good VA to use? I'm thinking about trying one. Check out Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and they have a lot of, whatever you want. Graphic design, like the intros that I made for this channel, or just type in eBay virtual assistant, and you have people on there all over the place that you can look at their reviews, people that they've worked for before, maybe put good or bad reviews, so you get an idea of what you're dealing with. The last place you want to do is to hire someone. I did this before, actually, when I had my drop shipping gig back in 2017, 2018. I hired a couple of people just from posts that I read, like on a Facebook drop shipping page, and that was the worst. I paid them through PayPal, but they never showed up for work. They always made excuses why they didn't get the work done, and there's no recourse, because I can't leave a review for someone like that. Go to Fiverr. There's a site called Hammock. I think that's a little bit more expensive, but they do a lot more of the groundwork for you. And Upwork, I think, also is another site that you can use that can get you a VA. There's a lot of different things a VA can do for you. I'm starting to realize that the whole listing aspect of using this VA is not probably the best use of their time, because of this third-party lister, InkFrog, is really slow as compared to using eBay. But you can have them use programs like List Perfectly and third-party listers, where they go in and do cross-listing from eBay to Mercari or Poshmark and save you that time. So instead of working with the existing listings in your store, you can have someone else do that, and then get out in your garage, and you're now working with new merchandise and getting that stuff up. That's going to help your business. If you're only paying $2 an hour, something just ridiculously cheap for that service, it only makes sense. Let's see. There is a new program called My Reseller Genie that uses Excel made specifically for resellers. It sounds amazing and is very reasonably priced. Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. I like the one I use, but if there's something that can make even that process a little easier, maybe they have an import feature where it imports your existing listings into the spreadsheet. I think that would save you a lot of time, because any spreadsheet I give you or you make yourself, you're going to have to go in and manually import or copy paste your listings. It's a tedious process. It's worth the time, but it's going to take a lot of time. Zero and Sora, the paid version of Photo Room is worth it. It's $60 a year, and it's the only one that lets you do multiples. So like, for instance, you could do a photo at a time, and it'll be awesome. But if you have 100, 200 photos, that process is going to take you probably an hour just to go through, even the way their app is set up. And I think if you have an iPhone, they have this option to where they do a batch, so you can select all the photos you want done, and within 5 to 10 minutes, it's done. You just hit one button and it saves it all to your phone, and it's well worth it. And it's the only thing that's caused me to double my listings, because the process I had before was I take my photos, I then upload them with Dropbox to my computer. I go in and do that remove.bg, like I told you guys about. That's a free free removal tool, background removal tool on your computer. And that was fine, but I'd have to crop the photos and everything. But now it's like twice as fast, because I'm using the app. I'm ignoring the whole background removal tool that they try to push on you. And aside from the fact that they want everyone to put their listings on auction for some reason, I really don't mind using the eBay app to list. It's actually very efficient, and I can go back in. I can change my item specifics right then and there, or I can go back in later and do it. But I can get more items up and seen by buyers. Brian Leda, are you doing live streams once a week, same time of day? Right now, I've been doing it every 2 weeks, and we'll see how that goes. I think for right now, every 2 weeks. But you know, again, if you guys want to see it every day, I'll do it every day. I mean, it's just a matter of we have 38 people watching this, so it's awesome. If we get enough people wanting to, you know, participate in the questions, I can only come up with so much material before I start boring myself, let alone other people watching me. So you guys make the live streams happen, and if you guys ask me the questions, I'll be glad to give you the answer. But without your participation, we can't have them very often. George, do I actually have a Ferrari? No, I don't, and nor would I want one. My wife might want one, but it's not realistic. I mean, you know, the idea of scaling your business is so that you can get to a place where you can have the income that you want, pay your bills, go on vacation, do the things that you normally do. If my life becomes anything more than that in a few years, then awesome, but I'm still not going to have a Ferrari. But there are channels out there that seem to think that it's important to, you know, to put that information in their intro. Maybe it builds their credibility to the audience. I don't know. Maybe that's their line of thinking. If you've got it like that, great. But I just think it's sad to flaunt that kind of stuff, even if you have it, because there's other people out there really maybe watching their videos because they really are just trying to make ends meet. They're trying to support a family. They're trying to, you know, just do the basics. And if you're there flaunting all this materialistic stuff, I think it's going to turn a lot of people off about what's important to you. You know, it's never a good idea to have all your eggs in one basket, like eBay, you know, versus reselling on other platforms and maybe revenue streams. Like this is a small revenue stream in YouTube, but I wouldn't go out here and tell you, here's the 20 ways I'm making money and here's what I made all year. I don't agree with that, and it's not good. It's not a good look. And I'm here to help the people that want to just do as good as they can. But for some, it's doing good as they can is just paying the bills. Annabelle, I only watch a few resellers, John and Chris being two of them. They will keep it real. Thank you. Yeah, I like Chris. I think he's very process oriented, almost to the point where I want to pull my hair out because I know I'm never going to be that process oriented. I have processes, but I can't keep refining my time or my tasks the way he does. It's amazing how he's been able to. If you go back and look at some of his videos from a few years ago, he's come a long way with his eBay operation. Melissa D, I have several orders from Thursday afternoon that are still processing and managed payments. I never had to take this long to process. Is this normal? It isn't really. I mean, as far as getting paid, it takes them a day to get it to Chase. I have Chase Bank. But as far as the processing time, I don't even pay attention to it anymore, to be honest with you, because, you know, I don't necessarily have to get paid today to be able to source tomorrow. But I know for some of you it's important. Maybe, the processing time is on eBay's end. I was thinking if you're having a problem getting the payments once it's processed to you within a day, you may want to change to a bank, a larger bank like Chase, or I notice a lot of the good credit unions also are very quick to give deposits. That's all you can do to change it, is who your bank is. That might speed things up by a day. But other than that, it's eBay's game, and we just have to play it, unfortunately. Reseller Genie. So Renee Kingsbury says I have Reseller Genie and she loves it. So definitely look that up. I'm gonna look that up after the show, actually. I'm not going to even bother with your name. I apologize. But dig in the channel. Well, my name is John, but I've been called worse than Brian, so it's okay. Thoughts on why I can list an item that's hot seller and not get a buyer or a watcher? Doesn't happen when I just find it odd. Well, my thing is, if I'm dealing with a hot seller, I don't even care if I have a watcher on it. So if you have a hot selling item, there's something wrong. You have to change your title. Remember, the first 5 words of that title have to be something a customer is going to type in. If it's not a brand name, don't even put it in there. If, most customers don't know what a model number is. They don't know what that model number is, whether it's a shirt or whether it's an appliance. Save it for the last part of your title. What is a customer searching for to find your item? Put that in as your first 5 words. Photos are critical. Are you categorized properly, and are you priced properly? If you do those 3 things and it's a hot item, I promise you, you won't have to worry about a watcher. Zero and Sarah, thank you for all the information. Time to head home. Have about 90 pairs of shoes and pictures of lists. Good money there. Yes, we're going to be winding down the show. Thank you for actually tuning in. What we have planned today, if you're in the Vegas area, and I'm probably going to ask them for some royalties, but no, I'm not. There's a place, I believe it's called Northwest College, and they teach all kinds of different trades, but they have a massage school, and they only charge like $29 for a 50-minute massage. And these guys are good. I tried it out thinking, oh boy, who am I going to get? And wow, they're awesome. So after, week of lifting boxes and tweaking my back and this, that, other thing, it's an awesome treat to be able to go in. And that's what we're doing today in about a couple hours. So we're going to be winding this down. And that's another point. Treat yourself to something for your hard work. Don't continually work. Even if you work 7 days a week, take a moment out to do something nice for yourself, because it's going to be a grind that's going to wear you thin to the point where you're not going to have any motivation to keep going. Thank you. It gets old seeing the same content over and over and over. Basically, it's a veteran seller getting great side sell numbers, and mainly from the subscribers. Right. We'd all do well if we had a channel. All of our eBay stores would be awesome if we had followers who wanted to buy our stuff, our things on eBay. I'm not trying to do that. Number one, I don't want false numbers on my store, a false number of impressions. And I think Chris from Daily Refinement says that's a huge mistake, because people know what his store is, but yet he gets a lot of impressions. People just wanting to see what he does and trying to emulate what he does. Well, that makes his numbers and his sell-through rate fall dramatically, and I'm not trying to do that. And it's really not about me anyway, and I will make my sales. If I follow my own advice, I'll make my sales. And I really don't, if I come across an item in a liquidation lot and you guys are interested in it, certainly we can work something out. That's just making sales, but I'm not using my YouTube channel to promote my listings. I don't like that so much. But it works for some that do, and they have a large following, and I'm not going to knock those people who do it. That's good for them. Biscuit Butt, I've learned so much from you, John. Thank you for being our guinea pig and allowing us to learn from you. No problem. As long as I don't get kicked off of eBay. If I get kicked off of eBay, then I won't have anything to share with you, but so far I haven't. Tried to buy ironing board cover. Payment wouldn't complete. Something like seller cannot accept payment. Contact the seller. Wanted CK, I don't know what that is. Gave name, address. I reported eBay, says seller issue, ask for cancel sale. Oh, so they're trying to get your personal information? Yeah, definitely we got to get those people off. That's like the wild, wild west. Anybody on here that used to sell on eBay back in the wild, wild west of before there were any rules, and it was just a pain. And I got to tell you, I got burned so many times selling on eBay years ago. Okay, last comment was not referring to you. Okay, so you're referring to Brian. Okay, my apologies to that. And handlebars and my area code 419. Okay, awesome. Oh wow. Hey, you had my luck with eBay Reseller lots. Thank you. New sub here. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that. Super chat. Really do. We're gonna maybe buy a Starbucks. That'll make my day. I appreciate you doing that so much. Love this video. New viewer, really enjoyed it, Mark. Thank you for viewing. Check out my other videos. We come out with videos about twice a week, sometimes 3. And I will be doing another video here. Usually I release them on Monday mornings, Thursday or Friday mornings. Give you guys something to watch or listen to while you're working. And I just want to thank you guys for all the support, all the it's comments like this right here. It's comments like this right here that really give me the motivation to keep doing these things. And I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. We've been doing this now for what, an hour and a half, and you guys are still watching me ramble on. So I think it's amazing, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for just being awesome and being there for me, giving me questions to answer. I don't mind doing it, and the kind words are just awesome. So I think that's a good place to wrap this up, and I want to thank you guys. But just do one thing for me, guys. Just keep listening, keep making those sales, and know one thing, and I don't care what anyone tells you on this channel, flipping ain't easy, and we will talk to you here very soon. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.